Konnichiwa, my name is Logan Charles Luna, and this is going to be a review video for Close Enough. Close Enough is a animated sitcom by J.G. Quintel. He's the creator of Regular Show. And Close Enough is this strange, although not really unusual and uncommon, journey through trying to get a show to work. So, Close Enough is also a good way to describe how we finally got an actual release for this show, because this show was made like 3 years ago. And it was announced like a year and a half ago that it was going to be on a animation block on TBS, and then so many things went wrong. TBS just pulled the animation block altogether and decided only to stick with Final Space, mainly because Final Space had already gotten a head start before everything bad happened. And that resulted in Close Enough being shelved. And as someone who's worked in the entertainment industry, live action and animation, when your thing gets shelved, it is very just kind of soul crushing, because it's not that your work bombed necessarily, or it got dropped, or it just didn't get greenlit at all. It's the fact that you spent months, sometimes years, of your career just working on this one thing, trying to make it the best that you could, and just having the rug pulled out from under you by studio executives. Because that's what this always kind of comes down to. And Warner Brothers isn't like the only studio that does this, but they are more frequently active in doing this. So now, finally, that they have a streaming service, they decided to release Close Enough. And in some countries it released in Netflix, because Close Enough is only available through a streaming service now. They're not airing this on TV, they most likely never will. And the original thought is it gives a lot of creative freedom to the team working on it. And then you remember, they already made this show. They already made the first season of Close Enough. So here's some more studio interference and shenanigans. For the streaming service HBO Max, they wanted Close Enough, which was originally scripted and animated to be a 30-minute, or without all the commercials and runtime and all that stuff, 22-minute animated sitcom. And the studio and HBO Max wanted to cut Close Enough down back to the 11-minute format, which is regular show episodes. And this isn't a very uncommon problem. This happens a lot. I had to do some editing work one time on another project a long time ago. This is back in like 2014, where we had to trim a show down from 1 hour to 24 minutes. And that's similar to what the team on Close Enough had to do. J.G. Quintel and his editors, and most likely his writers, had to trim down this 22-minute animated sitcom into an 11-minute animated sitcom. And it definitely shows in some of the episodes of Close Enough. Now, Close Enough overall, it's a really good show. And it shows growth and evolution within the creative and just funny aspects of J.G. Quintel's world building and relationships that characters have with each other. But definitely a lot of the episodes feel like they're missing the B plot. For those who aren't really all down with the writer jargon and all that stuff. B plot is usually what the side characters are doing or what one of the other main characters is up to, while the episode's main focus is going on. Usually it's like these characters aren't just going to sit around and wait all day for the main characters to come back so they can interact with them. They got to have something to do. And definitely from what's going on with the trailer of Close Enough, because originally the trailer of Close Enough was just a pitch to show that Close Enough could work. It was never intentionally animated as a show. All the clips and stuff from the trailer was just kind of animated concept art. And they definitely wanted to incorporate as many ideas from the trailer that they could into the actual show, but they were definitely cut for time in order to fit the 11-minute model that HBO Max wanted. So now you have a show that feels oftentimes that it's missing just extra detail and missing parts of the story that are really important. And some parts aren't really that important, like when they do things as just a gag that work as a one-off, mainly with Alex, the roommate to Josh and his wife Emily. So Alex used to be a UCLA professor until he got fired. And he definitely does these weird adventures. And from the trailer, definitely it looked like he wanted to prove that Garfield and God are connected. So kind of going into the crazy conspiracy world with that one. Now to talk about the characters themselves, so I really did like the relationship of Josh and Emily because it was a grown-up relationship. And we are far gone from the days of cringing with Mordecai every time he messes up, something that could have been easily prevented, and causes his own pain and suffering in his relationships with women that first he idolizes, then he kind of fears. Like he's traumatized by the experience of how he acted around these women, that it causes him actual physical pain anytime he interacts with them now in a more non-romantic way. Also, I'm still kind of mad about how Regular Show just wrote CJ off. Like, I don't know what happened there, but they definitely just wrote CJ off. And at the end of Regular Show, Mordecai just meets someone at a art gallery and he falls in love, as Mordecai tends to do at first sight. And yeah, it just goes off from there. But I like how Josh and Emily's relationship is definitely more of the Mordecai and Rigby best friend relationship mixed with Rigby and Eileen's actual romantic relationship. Because definitely Emily is the more mature of both of them. However, she has kind of loftier aspirations. Emily does enjoy being Candace's mom, and she genuinely enjoys doing things around the house that feel more adult than how she usually would, say, when she was younger and when they were in college. But now, living with a divorced couple, which is a really funny and interesting concept of the roommates. So initially it's like they moved in with their couple friends in order to save money, especially since, you know, they're young parents and they're fresh out of college and now they have this kid and they need to get real jobs in order to support a family. So in order to save some cash, they move in with their couple friend, and that couple ends up getting divorced. But they still live together in order to save money, which is a pretty accurate portrayal of times today, where people live in these strange and often unusual situations just to save some money. Like, seriously, people live with family members that they don't necessarily get along with, and there's a lot weirder situations than, hey, you're living back home with your parents. And by that, I don't mean the standard trope of the guy who lives in his mom's basement. I mean the person who went off to college and had all these hopes and dreams and then are now in crippling student loan debt, which makes an appearance in one of the episodes where Emily has too much stress in her life. And one of the major factors of that is the fact she gets a letter about a collection on her student loan debt, and it drops to the floor. And then it just keeps unfolding and going on. And it's this soul-crushing realization that even if she were to achieve her dreams of being this parody musician a la Weird Al Yankovic, most of her money is just going to fall to the wayside, and the dreams of living the good life and having these lofty aspirations are grounded by the fact that in reality, fame and fortune and all that is just going to keep her head above water. It's not really going to change her life that drastically. She's just not going to stress out about money anymore. So with that, they'd be able to provide for Candace, and they definitely sacrifice a lot in order for Candace to get a good education, and they put up with a lot of bullshit from those elite LA private schools that your kid has to either be a genius or smart enough that they could say they're a genius, and you pay out of pocket whatever ridiculous amount of tuition they're going to charge you for that. And definitely that's another factor into moving in with this divorced couple, is that now they're in a better school district, which helps out Candace and her future, so that hopefully Candace will be able to support herself. The goal is that Candace will have a better life than Josh and Emily had. And that's what most parents usually tend to do. They'll sacrifice a lot of things in order for their kids to just have a better life. Because oftentimes, especially in America, your life as a child and as a young adult really wasn't that great. You had to experience a lot of hardship, and especially now, because the kids who grew up to be college students and young adults and venture off into the working world now had to deal with another major recession in US history and losing their jobs and getting just the bad end of the deal on everything. So yeah, this show coming out in 2020 is somewhat fitting with the fact that although you do have these hopes and dreams, like Josh wanting to be a video game designer, and he wants his video games to carry that big name, he does realize often that it's a very selfish dream, that it's just something he wants, but he does justify it, and it makes sense that he justifies it this way with, if he's able to achieve his childhood dream, it would mean putting his family in a better financial situation. And I just really hope to get more like just fun stories out of Close Enough, because it is a very funny show. And that's saying a lot with all that it had to overcome to finally get put on the air, to finally be able to experience Close Enough and everything it has to offer. So, final rating for it, just gonna give it a 5 out of 7. It's a really solid show. There are parts of it where I wish I could have seen like the 22-minute uncut version of it. Some storylines like the stripper clowns, definitely. But other than that, it's not much to say. Show's good. If you have HBO Max, check it out. I think they pulled back their like 1 month free trial and only have it set up as a 1 week free trial. But you could breeze through all the episodes of Close Enough in a day, honestly. So if you want to check it out with the 1 week free trial, there's also some fun other stuff on HBO Max that I'd like to recommend, like the show Veneno. And if you're interested in LGBTQ plus content like that, definitely go check it out. All right, I'm gonna try and finish this drawing, although I'm not really feeling motivated today to do that much art. I'm kind of inside my head a little today and just really figuring it out. But if at the end of the day your biggest complaint was, well, I guess that's close enough, then your day wasn't that bad, now was it? This has been Logan Charles Luna. If you want to see more fan arts that I make, go to my social media. If you want to vote on fan arts, if you want to request fan arts, if you want special digital commissions, I will draw anything except Naruto and Tokyo Ghoul, and I'll just email you a list of the shit that I won't draw. But I'll draw pretty much everything else, even hentai. That's right, I refuse to draw Naruto, but I'm down to draw some hentai if you're willing to pay for it. Patreon link in the description below. My social media is both on Twitter and Instagram at LCLX25. This has been Logan Charles Luna with another mediocre one-take video reviewing an animated series that was definitely better than expected. Sayonara.